All right. On your mark.
All right. So, welcome to the first ever GK Guild cast. I'm Hunter.
And this is Holden here.
All right. And today we're going to be talking about a trend in modern anime, manga, games, the rise in the amount of dark content being released. The rise in the amount of dark content. Bit of a mic malfunction there. All right. So, and the broad generalization of grimdark, dark, and edgy content. So, Holden and I don't exactly agree with each other on a lot of this stuff, so there may be a bit of contention, but that's a part of what makes this fun.
Yeah, with the amount of setup, I hope it's fun.
He says, praying for no disasters. So, before we move on to the actual general discussion, let's establish terms here. So, when I'm talking about a grim, dark setting, I'm going to be talking about a setting or a story of a dark and nihilistic nature without the possibility of the triumph of or the, let alone the existence of a moral right. These settings tend to have defeat as an inevitable fact and unavoidable, rather than being just a narrative emotional trough. Settings of this kind are actually rather sparse and include such titles as Warhammer 40k, Devilman, and the Souls series. I would also put in Vampire the Masquerade, but that's because I'm an old man. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I just realized if anyone wants to bring up some examples of any of these in the chat room, please feel free. That should be an interesting fuel for further discussion.
Oh, yes, definitely.
But,
hello there, Aragon. What's up? Sorry, I have the chat on my phone, so I might be a bit zoned out of it every now and then, but nice to have you here. So, grimdark settings. I know Holden in particular has a bit of a thing for these.
I don't engage too much with these. It's
not your cup of tea.
It's got something of a tendency towards being a bit depressing.
Well, yeah, that's certainly one way to put it. I would say that I'm the guy who engages the most in this particular kind of content between the two of us.
When it comes to the examples you listed, I think the one I'm most interested in is Devilman, simply because it's an old school classic from Tatsunoko.
Oh yeah, no. And that man is a weirdo in all of the best ways, too.
Yeah, they got some interesting old shows there. They're pretty fun.
His work is... Yeah, I agree with you.
I remember watching once the Gatchaman. That was pretty fun. Science Ninjas.
Oh my gosh. He did a lot of really crazy stuff back in the day. I forget, wasn't he involved in one of the OG Super Robot shows?
Yeah, there were some super robots in the old school Tatsunoko.
Oh, good lord.
Mike Troubles for Green Knight we have. An echo?
Do we?
All right, we may want to fix that. Let me take a quick listen here.
I would certainly hope not, but that wouldn't be the first hope had something like that happen. That wouldn't be the first hope had something like that happen. That wouldn't be the first hope had something like that happen. That wouldn't be the first hope had something like that happen. That wouldn't be the first hope had something like that happen. That wouldn't be the first hope had something like that happen. You think you can fix this one on the fly?
Yeah, probably. All right, I'll need to do a little setup here.
Oh, Lord. So while we have a technical issue going on right now, I'll try to be as entertaining as I possibly can. So, the Warhammer 40k franchise, for those of you that don't know, tabletop war game, extremely dark setting. It's and the entire premise of it is just incredibly well done, because what essentially the evils, quote unquote, and I say it in quotes because evil is kind of a subjective term in Warhammer. The evils of Warhammer are unavoidable because evil literally spawns from the existence of sentient life, specifically from chaos. Chaos in the Warhammer series essentially exists within four primary entities called the Chaos Gods, or the Ruinous Powers, and each one of them draws from a different aspect of sentient life, or even the universe itself. So for instance, Tzeentch, the god of change and plots. Every time that some change happens, Tzeentch gains more power. Khorne draws power from blood, violence, anger. So every time that someone gets road rage, Khorne is going to get a bit stronger.
You actually have a funny, sinister sound with this. It's kind of nice.
Oh, good Lord.
But I'm still going to try to fix it.
So, I'm basically stalling for time. I'll try not to.
I think
not
it's
to
fairly
bore
interesting,
people.
actually.
I'm trying not to bore people. I didn't think I would have to do this, but I'll see what I can do. So, let's see what else. You've got Slaanesh, who's the god of excess. A common misconception about this guy is that he's a god of like orgies and sex, but it's literally just excess. So you're going to get an equal amount. You're going to give an equal amount of power to Slaanesh if you participate in BDSM or if you just eat an entire carton of chocolate ice cream. And then there's Nurgle, who is the lord of decay and death. And his whole thing is anything that stays still stagnates or is diseased gives him power. So the idea is like every time you get up in the morning, you've gone from being asleep to being awake. That's a change. So you've literally just given Tzeentch a little bit of power. You wake up in the morning. Let's say you stub your toe on the way out of your bedroom. You just got angry. Guess what? You just gave a little bit of power to Khorne. Now apply that principle to a galaxy that has been at war for over 40,000 years. And you have the most dangerous kind of cocktail that you could possibly imagine. And it's all just giving power to these all-powerful, evil, interdimensional beings that can essentially summon demons at will with the power that they gain from sentient life. So in other words, the only way to actually kill these things is to actually eliminate all sentient life. So that is a losing battle. And no one is ever going to be able to win it. But the idea is to stave it off for as long as possible, thus Grimdark. Holden is kind of working on the mics right now, so I'm stalling for as long as I can. Oh, good Lord.
Hey, good job. This is probably some good content.
I'm doing the best I can. Let's see, I'm having a little bit of trouble zooming in on the chat. Oh, Uncle Nurgle. Grandfather Nurgle. Oh, it works now? Is there not an echo anymore? Death to the false emperor. Indeed. Indeed. Oh, Viadis. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I think the last time I saw you was back when we were doing a little bit of an LP with Sacred Stones. Good to see you again. All right, so...
I would like to continue that sometime. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to pick that up again. Oh, good lordy. Oh, lordy. Well, it's really good to see you again, Beatus. We appreciate all the support you can give.
All right, hang on. Testing a different setup. Don't tilt it towards you. We're gonna both run off this one.
We're still doing a test. You're going to have to pitch in eventually once we get the mics fixed because I don't want to bore people with my boring voice. Oh, man.
On the count of 3, please say banana. 3, 2, 1.
Kumquat.
Banana. Kumquat. Banana.
Are we working?
Let me try. Which setting would be better? Let me try this other setting.
Viatis is telling us that there's no problem.
All right. Once again, banana on 3.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Banana.
Banana.
I mean, if there's no problem on the viewer's end, it shouldn't be a problem. The echo might just be because there are 2 mics.
There is a problem. I'm much quieter. Let me flip it around this way.
Yeah.
All right, let me try it now. 3, 2, 1. Banana.
Banana. I'm telling you, dude, the viewers are saying that it's perfectly fine.
Okay, this setup is good. This works. All right, we now resume.
Can everyone hear us? Can you guys hear me? All right, so I guess they can hear me just fine. All right, so we're going to move on. So your thoughts on a couple of these series. I know that you're familiar enough with Devilman.
Warhammer is fairly interesting, but also very over the top. I think it kind of sort of cuts into edgy territory, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
We're going to talk about different perceptions with edgy content when we get to that. But I've always been a huge fan of Warhammer. Just the setting is very, very well explored. Almost every nook and cranny of lore is thoroughly explained.
A lot of it is still too unrealistic, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a universe with an alternate dimension of gods that literally feed off of the emotions of sentient life. Do you honestly expect it to be realistic?
Kind of true.
That's why it's called science fiction. Instead of, it's called science fiction and not just science. So, let's see. Now, I have a little bit of personal experience with the Soul series, namely that it pounded my face into the dirt for every single entry, but I love the games. But what I really want to talk about is the Flame and the fact that, the Age of Fire, if I recall correctly, because it's been a very long time and I was never really a big lore fan with the Soul series, I just kind of played the games. But from what I understand, the Age of Fire is one that is constantly having to be renewed by sacrificing the soul of a living being in order to reignite it. So
Wow.
Again, it's simply delaying the inevitable. There is a logical explanation for why it's so dark and grim and nasty. It's definitely not for the the faint of heart. Like Star Wars meets Hellraiser. Yeah, I could see that, though. I will admit, as being a 40K fanboy, I'm kind of biased. So,
Yeah, you're pretty into that. It suits you well.
what particular parts do you not like about 40K? Because I know there are certain elements that you think are just a bit too much.
Yeah, some characters have backstories that, I just cannot suspend my disbelief on.
Come on, you got to give examples. That's why we got the stream.
So a good example is the guy, Robot Gillimon, is it? Who,
Primarch of the Ultramarines.
who was like a freaking baby who gnawed his way out of a...
Oh, no, you're talking about the... that's not him.
someone else.
That's the Night Lord's Primarch. Dang, I forget his name. I can't pull up Google right now, but I know who he is.
Okay, yeah, so that's an example. That's like, no, he would have died. That's it.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, my first real jump into Warhammer was with the video games, but really shortly after that, I got into the board game. And then not long after that, I just started reading the Horus Heresy, and I got hooked.
And for those who are unfamiliar, what's the Horus Heresy?
The Horus Heresy is the book series by Games Workshop's own. Their extra, I guess you could say, extra content group called the Black Library. It is a very long, ongoing novel series that basically covers the entirety of what I would consider it the founding events of Warhammer 40K.
Oh, okay. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, Conrad Curse, that's right. So yeah, quite a lot of yeah, the guy literally turned the idea of hunting someone into an art form. He would literally hunt people down, and he would literally just stay just outside of, just outside their vision. He would constantly just be stalking them, literally letting them just whittle away from the sheer fear of him catching them. Like I think one of my favorite lore channels for 40K, which is Arch Warhammer, he described it the best way that I can imagine, which is imagine trying to run away from Superman.
Not an easy thing to do.
And that's exactly what you're dealing with when it comes to a Primarch. And this guy would torture people that way. Like, he would literally go, like, if you were running away from Conrad Curse, he would go into your house, murder your wife and children, and leave pieces of them around for you to find.
Oh, boy.
I mean, yeah, we're getting into some really dark territory. But he did it.
Edgy.
You say that, but we're talking about someone whose first interaction with the living world was having to crawl his way out of the core of a planet. Cold and alone on a planet that was known for its crime. It was like Gotham City on steroids. So it was either be ruthless or die.
Well, that's a general theme in the series, I suppose.
Well, yeah, and that's what I really love about it. You got some really good quotes there, Aragon. The Thousand Sons did nothing wrong. That should be made into a t-shirt because it's actually true. Oh my gosh. I was so sad when I read that. You don't even know that part of the series, do you?
Probably not.
So, the Thousand Sons were a Space Marine legion from the original 18 legions. And essentially, their Primarch was a guy named Magnus. And Magnus was the most psychically gifted of all of his brothers. And he was basically tempted by the Chaos God Tzeentch into gazing into the future, and he saw Horus in his treachery. He saw the Horus Heresy, the entirety. He saw what was going to happen. And so the Chaos God tempted him to use those psychic powers to contact his father rather than using conventional means, because it would take too long. And in doing so, he broke through a psychic barrier by accident that the Emperor had set up to protect a project that he had back on Terra. And for those of you that are actually going to read the Horus Heresy, I'm not going to say anything because spoilers. But basically, he literally broke a hole into the warp, which is the 40K equivalent of hell, into the Imperial Palace on Earth, Holy Terra. And the Emperor was really, really angry. So, of course, instead of sending someone with, a little bit of temperance, a little bit less of a volatile personality like Sanguinius or, hell, send Vulcan. Anyone other than who he sent, and who he sent was Leman Russ, who is the Primarch of the Space Wolves. So, Leman Russ, originally he was told there just to apprehend Magnus, but Horus was alerted to this, and he tricked Leman Russ into, instead of capture, it was a kill mission. Wipe the Thousand Sons out. Which, as you can imagine, did not go well. So the Thousand Sons went from being a loyal, obedient legion to being a traitor legion. Their Primarch became one of the most powerful demon princes in the history of the setting, and the entire legion got turned into dust golems, essentially. They got turned into, they literally were turned to dust in their armor. And because of that, Ahriman, I believe, Ahriman, who was the head librarian, that is the head psychic, master, teacher of the Legion, ended up essentially going on a lifelong quest to undo the damage done to his Legion. Which is ironic because he's considered a Chaos Space Marine, a traitor. But he's literally doing something that is against the will of the Chaos Gods, and it's because Tzeentch is letting him do it. Because Master of Trolls. Is that something that was added in a later edition, Viotis? Because from what I understood, and again, it's been a long time, but from what I understood, the Rubric Marines made up the majority of the Legion. All of the ones that got caught on planet, from what I understand, were turned into the Rubric Marines, which are the golems. But again, I could be wrong. Their psychic potential would have certainly been increased, though, if they did survive. So I buy that. But lot of dark setting, lot of really horrible things that happen in 40K. But I wouldn't go so far as to call it dumb dark. And that's the thing I think that Holden disagrees with, is that he kind of contests that.
Yeah, I would say that does get dumb at points.
Oh, nice. You have the Thousand Sons Codex. That's cool.
Whoa, impressive.
Yeah, definitely. If you feel like pulling that out and sharing with everyone, that'd be great.
And now a reading from the book of Thousand Sons Codex.
So I think the next one is going to be a lot more of a topic that Holden is going to be able to speak a lot more about than me, just because he's going to have an outsider perspective. And that's where we're going to talk about, we've moved from grimdark to just a dark setting. So I'm just going to throw up the definition, and then I'm going to, I got to hear Holden's perspective on this. So the definition that I'm going with is a setting that portrays a generous amount of violence or other graphic content while maintaining narrative consistency. It doesn't simply do it for shock value or to appear as more mature. A lot of these settings are easily misinterpreted as simply being edgy, but this is mostly due to audience reaction rather than actual narrative inconsistency.
There is most certainly overlap between the two.
I would disagree with that, but that's what this whole stream is for.
Oh,
So,
yeah, we'll get into that.
Settings of this type are far more common and include titles such as Berserk, Kara no Kyokai, the Diablo series, Black Lagoon, the Witcher series,
Black
Serial
Lagoon
Experiment
is
Lane.
edgy as balls.
I don't know about that. I would say that's one of the few where there's overlap. Made in Abyss, Goblin Slayer, Planescape Torment, and the Fate series.
Okay, so this is interesting because I haven't heard of Planescape Torment before. What is that one?
Planescape Torment is an old style RPG in the same vein as the Baldur's Gate series, which it was a much more intricate and character driven story. Almost the exact same engine. But the purpose behind Planescape Torment is you are a guy with amnesia. You wake up in a morgue in the city of Sigil, which in the D&D world is basically the hub city of the entire multiverse.
I didn't realize there even was a multiverse in D&D.
Oh Lord, we're gonna have to do an entire one on that now.
Oh no. Oh no, what have I got myself into? Alright, cool.
Oh, I love the Planescape setting. So, Holden, you might think this is kind of funny because so imagine a setting where you open a door to go to the bathroom, you walk through the door, and suddenly you're in one of the 9 hells.
Oh no.
It's called the City of Doors for a reason.
Oh no, it's
Random portal generation.
it's Rick and Morty gone wrong.
Oh, good Lord. See, that's one I don't watch, but whatever. So, yeah.
Rick and Morty would qualify as dark. It would not be grimdark nor edgy.
Meh. I'm not going to comment on pot shows.
It is not a pot show, although it could probably be enjoyed that way.
Most modern Cartoon Network productions are pot shows, which is why I dropped out back in like 2008.
The only people who say that are the people who just haven't watched any of the shows. Although I will concede some of them do seem that way.
Well, I just grew out of that and started renting, I just started using shows off of like streaming websites and doing Crunchyroll and Netflix rather than doing that.
Speaking of Cartoon Network shows, something just occurred to me, which is that Steven Universe is the like exact opposite of a grimdark, edgy show. It's I don't know what you would want to call it, but it's like a stuffed animal wrapped in pillows, wrapped in cotton candy. It's like,
Oh, good Lord. I resent that remark, Aragon. I have not gotten myself into everything.
Steven wins every every conflict against one of the big bad guys by talking to them. That could work one time, maybe. But that's all they do. And it's quite disappointing. They really started off strong. Season 1 was entirely excellent.
So, recently I actually got Holden to watch
What a
Karo no
disappointment.
Kyokai, also known as the Garden of Sinners, and his reaction was interesting, to say the least.
Oh man, there's like so much edge there. Like there's a little bit of
No, there was not.
yeah, there totally is. There's a little bit of good writing. There's a lot of it's like 50% lame, edgy filler and like 50%
Lame, edgy
hey,
filler.
this is cool or this is interesting.
Every
stuff.
single movie in that franchise has a necessary point in the story.
No, it does not. There's no reason for half of that stuff. Some of it
But
may
again,
move it forward
if
a
you're
little
going to
bit.
talk objectively, that's my perspective on how to classify these things. I mean, one of the things that I literally have here is just because it offends you does not make it edgy.
That's true. And I would say that there's been some sort of trend towards being outraged at certain content for
Speaking
insignificant
of,
amount of
let's talk about our little meme here and the show behind it, Goblin Slayer. Oh boy! Oh, the offense, the horrible, horrible amount of salt.
The truth is, it's just edgy or isekai trash.
It's not isekai though.
Yeah, but it feels like it. It has that feel.
It's again, because it's a fantasy show. It's not isekai.
Look at all these waifus. Oh,
It's not isekai, and Goblin Slayer is not interested.
Yeah, that's a typical trait of that type of thing.
He's not ignorant of what they feel, though. He just doesn't give a crap.
Yeah, well, that's maybe slightly better than just total obliviousness.
I mean, again, like, he is very well aware of the childhood friend, the farm girl. He is very well aware of her feelings for him, and he just doesn't care. I mean, this is literally a case of, I care more about slaying people than slaying ass.
Okay.
It's just the way it is. The guy literally is going to be more interested and more focused on his job.
Well, I mean, that is his name and title, I guess, but...
His name, his title, his occupation.
But anyway.
I just don't understand the outrage. Well, no, I take that back. I do understand the outrage of Goblin Slayer when it came out. Because Crunchyroll they did a dumb. They did a very dumb. I mean, they advertised this thing like it was just another, throw a sack in the cornhole isekai trash show. And in reality, the author was far more interested in doing something akin. I do not say similar because I don't believe that they're equivalent, but something more in the vein of Berserk.
That's not exactly a super apt comparison given the level of quality between the two.
Well, I mean, if you're talking the anime, then I would actually say Goblin Slayer is a higher quality anime.
Everyone knows that the CGI Berserk is a complete abomination.
Well, I would argue that the Golden Age films are a little bit better, but not by much.
No, those are good. Those are good animation.
Relatively.
And the original
there's
series
some really
is good
choppy
too.
CGI in the Golden Age.
Yeah, there is, but yeah,
It's not as bad.
most cinematic CGI in anime films is pretty cringy anyway.
They got that extra time for that extra polish.
My favorite film, Sayo Asa, contains some absolutely awful CGI, and it's one of the few places I can ding like a quarter of a point on the movie. But it's so small in that film that it kind of doesn't even matter. It's like I wish it wasn't there, but it doesn't kill it, doesn't ruin any scenes, thankfully.
Well, Goblin Slayer certainly has its fair share of cruddy CGI, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it's as bad as the Berserk anime.
Oh, and speaking of freaking edgy, dark stuff, Overlord has some of the worst CG I've ever seen, and I don't understand why some people like it. I mean,
I
golly.
understand why people like Overlord, and I myself...
asinine dubstep ending theme. Oh man, it made me want to kill myself.
Are you kidding me? That's not dubstep.
Oh, it's so bad.
That's at worst synth rock. I love some of the OPs and EDs from Overlord.
Overlord's bad. Oh.
Well, says the guy who can't stand anything about Sword Art Online.
Yeah, that's bad too.
Well, we'll get to that once we go into this next topic.
Dot Hack is the only good trapped in a video game anime.
I liked Overlord too, Aragon. I loved Overlord. I don't care if it was over the top.
You can at me about stupid Overlord on @MasterHolden on Twitter.
Oh, good lord. Shameless plug. All right, so we're going to go into the one that...
Log Horizon is okay. It kind of devolves after a point.
Log Horizon is... I agree that the early parts of Log Horizon are pretty darn good.
Yeah,
I would say up until after the Goblin King arc. After that, the whole thing just kind of falls apart. But I love Log Horizon in terms of its characterization and its world building. So now we're going to move on to edgy content. So this is the one that Holden is going to go nuts over, because he's going to say, everything is edgy!
Oh, edgy is so popular these days.
So when we're talking about edgy, What I'm going to be discussing with Holden is a setting that uses graphic content for shock value as its bread and butter. It's important to note that narrative inconsistency, English, and having next to no character development are the distinguishing features of edgy content when compared to grimdark or dark settings. While this is indeed important to note, it should also be noted that in many cases, the content is not meant to be taken seriously and can be a case of so bad it's good. But this sort of exception is kind of rare, at least in my experience. This kind of setting is really common. It includes titles such as the Akame ga Kill anime adaptation. I wouldn't apply that to the manga, but I would apply it to the anime.
I cannot believe that anything in Akame ga Kill is going to be
Sword Art Online is
non-edgy.
definitely in this category. And King's Game, the animation, just is edgy for the sake of edge, for the sake of edginess.
Tokyo Ghoul, very popular edgy anime.
Hello, Slayer Smartin.
Hey, what's
Or
up?
S. Martin.
So,
Is it S. Martin or Smartin? Oh, Lord.
let's see.
So let's talk about Sword Art Online, because that horse hasn't been beaten to death with another dead horse.
I mean, I can bash that show all day long.
Well, you know, to keep it interesting, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say I actually enjoyed SAO.
I mean, that's fine. You can enjoy it, but it's trash.
Smartin.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yes, SAO Abridged is a better version of SAO.
At least it's
There's
got
no
something.
denying that. My problems with Sword Art Online stem mostly from the narrative issues. And I'm gonna go ahead before I start to, you know, jump on the bandwagon with Holden on this. I really want to open with I like SAO for the intrigue that it initially presents in its premise.
Yo, that mic picks up everything. You might want to be careful tapping to.
So for me, I would certainly say that, you know, it's a strong opening, and then the Aincrad arc kind of breaks into a bunch of different genres and doesn't know what it wants to do, and then the Fairy Dance arc comes in and ruins everything.
It's so bad. They time skip so much. Ugh, the character development makes no sense. Ugh, there's so much wrong with it. Oh, man.
I would say it makes sense if you really took the time to look into it, but even then, the problem is that you're stressing believability.
Nothing about that show is
And,
believable.
Well, and that's my point, because Enrique Kawahara, the author of SAO, has gone on record saying that SAO is wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
So it's literally designed to be a male power fantasy, you know, ego trip. That's what it is. So I watched SAO with that in mind, and I said, yeah, I can see why people like this show.
Why don't you just watch Hokuto no Ken? I mean, come on.
First of all, because I don't even know what that is.
That's Fist of the North Star, man.
Oh, well, I've watched
That's
Fist of the
better.
North Star.
That's better male wish fulfillment right there. Going around kicking ass. That's the way to go.
Well, and
Not
I
being
think
some nerd playing a video
my
game.
biggest problem with SAO derives from Kazuto Kirigaya, also known as Kirito.
Awful character. Complete trash.
Well, and again, the problem is that there's too much narrative weight put on Kazuto. There's way too much narrative weight put on him. I mean, you're telling me that you're in an MMORPG. How many people were supposed to have been registered to Sword Art Online when they all got trapped?
Oh, was it 2000 maybe?
I think it was 2,000 that died.
Maybe it was 6,000 then?
I would have to look it up. But essentially, you're telling me, because there are servers on World of Warcraft with smaller populations that have completely beaten... They literally have endgame content on farm in less than a couple of weeks.
Apparently, there were 10,000 players in Sword Art Online in the Aincrad arc.
So yeah, you're telling me 10,000 people couldn't beat 100 raid bosses in 2 years
Yeah,
with
unbelievably
literally nothing else to do.
Yeah, it even fails as a description of how online video games work.
I mean, for goodness sake, the most recent patch in World of Warcraft, Rise of Azara, they have that raid on farm already, less than a few days after it launched. Like, people are literally running it for kicks and giggles and to farm. And you're telling me that they can't do that in a game with that kind of population. I mean, we've seen the inside of Aincrad. We've seen that you can see from wall to wall in the palace. So it's not like you can't even do that in something like World of Warcraft or hell, Guild Wars 2. Again, all it would literally take to beat this game is dogpile the boss, win. So yeah, 4,000 people died.
Oh, brother, that's so dumb and unrealistic.
I mean, well, it depends. Are you dealing with noobs or are you dealing with hardened gamers?
I mean,
The
considering
death toll is actually kind of believable. Especially considering, like, a game like World of Warcraft, you have a res mechanic. If you're telling me that I would have to complete 100 raids without res, then I would say, yeah, that would be kind of a challenge. But you're dealing with
you South Park it. You go kill boars in the forest for a while until you were able to go up to the next thing.
I would argue that that is impossible, but the problem is SAO doesn't define its mechanics well enough for us to say that is impossible.
Well, yeah.
Which is another one of my biggest gripes about the show.
It defines nothing. There's nothing thoughtful about it.
And then, of course, there is the dumbest part of SAO, which is the part that really made me realize that I was watching hot trash. And that was, why on earth are they discriminating against beta testers?
Yeah, these are the guys that could kind of, save you.
I mean, I get the reason why. They're saying these people are going to cheat and they're going to leave us all in the dust. But it's like, if you're talking about life and death, wouldn't you want an OP character on your side?
You party up, man. You party up. You take some EXP.
And here we go with the SAO abridged quotes from Aragon. Beta testers? Oh, good lord.
Yep. SAO.
So yeah, Sword Art Online. Now let's talk about a show that did the same thing, or near the same thing, but did it better. Namely, Dot Hack.
Yeah, Dot Hack is actually good, and it came before.
Show of hands, kiddos. How many people know what Dot Hack is?
If you haven't watched Dot Hack Sign, you need to go.
Oh, we have a holdup for Slayer. What's the holdup, my dude? We'll wait on that response.
That time I got reincarnated as a slime, and no, I don't know what it is. Oh, bro. So, okay.
I don't have a problem with that show. Again, it's...
Dot Hack is essentially what SAO ripped off. It's,
I would actually argue against that. But let's go ahead and address the recent member, the recent entry in the arena, which is that time I got reincarnated as a slime. I don't have a problem with it as long as you're not going to watch it and expect me to take it seriously.
I haven't seen it.
Well, that's because Holden doesn't watch isekai garbage. Except, apparently, Rising of the Shield Hero.
I mean, only what you've shown me of it, which is, it's not terrible. It's kind of fun, but it's nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah, I agree with you, Slayer. It's meant to be funny. So, that's why I don't have a problem with Slime, because, frankly, it is what it is, and I love it for what it is.
If you're going to watch an isekai comedy, why not just watch Konosuba?
Well, they're funny for different reasons. Konosuba is a character-driven comedy. I would say that Slime is much more a circumstantial comedy.
More of a Seinfeld.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that could be good, maybe.
It's much more of a, the characters are bouncing off of each other, and everyone kind of has their own thing going on. I would say that, certainly it's still got a bad case of the main character. Yeah, it's all MMO jokes from the perspective of the main character, because for everyone else, the world is the only world that they've ever known.
Yes.
So it's pretty interesting. I personally like it. Also, yes, Konosuba. Let us. Oh, good lord! I wonder if we could start a debate on who best girl is from Konosuba. I would love to see the chat eat each other on that one. But that's just because I'm that kind of person.
I mean, it's Megumin. Everyone agrees.
And Holden has thrown his hat into the ring. We
Megumin.
have one Megumin.
Everyone likes her the best. She's the funniest.
We have a Megumin in the ring.
She's got a cool hat, So,
Oh, Lord. What have
that's-
you done?
it's an easy choice. Easy choice.
What have I done? I shouldn't have brought that up. Oh, Lord. Oh, we got a Whis from Aragon. Whis for best girl. It's a tie now between Megumin and Whis.
I mean, we'll see if anyone retroactively comments about it. But
Oh, Lord. I think Whis has got a point. I don't know. I kind of like the Lich Girl.
does she come in later?
She comes in season 2, I believe.
Okay, I haven't watched season 2. So
And she's got a pretty sweet background, so... And she's not incompetent like everyone else. She's just kind of an adorable ditz.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think... I'm not even going to bother throwing my hat in the arena because I don't want to die.
Good choice.
Oh, Lord. But, edgy content. Good Lord. So, I don't even know if you remember when King's Game was coming out.
I don't know.
That
much
was
about
that.
it.
The cell phone gives you a virus that, auto kills you.
What?
Oh my gosh, you didn't see that. Lucky you. I got it recommended to me by a friend who I don't really talk to anymore.
Oh.
And that probably had a part to do with it, but King's Game was too edgy. It literally was, the classic, the King game. The King's orders are absolute.
Sure.
So the premise behind the show is that there's a freaking psychopath that has an entire classroom full of kids that he texts them orders. And if they don't follow it, they die in horrendous ways.
Oh, boy.
And the orders get progressively more and more cruel and gruesome.
Oh, man. I don't like that. at
So
all.
the show is literally one of the most edgy, pointless pieces of media I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, you need to stop saying literally, by the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's one of your pet peeves. But I'm not kidding when I say it literally is. It is literally the worst piece of media I've ever seen in my life.
The worst.
Yes.
Worse than like a bad meme on the internet.
I would say worse than that. This show is a bad meme given form of a gory anime.
Is that right?
It is awful. Unless you have a serious stomach for nonsense, I would not watch it.
Does not sound very appealing.
So, let's discuss one thing that you and I kind of contest, which is Akame ga Kill.
It's absolute freaking garbage.
I would argue in favor of that for the anime adaptation. Mostly because of the death of Tatsumi, which did not happen in the manga.
Who cares?
Well, because killing everyone other than Akame was done for shock value, which falls under my own definition.
I'm pretty sure all the deaths are for shock value. I'm pretty sure the entire series is for shock value. It's trash.
Oh, God.
It's
alone
just,
in another world with my smartphone.
it's just
That show, oh God, that show gave me brain damage. That show gave me horrible, horrible, horrible brain damage.
What's the general gist of it?
I don't even want to go into it, but basically it's Sword Art Online minus, like, imagine SAO if Reki Kawahara had literally no dignity.
Oh, there's the L word again. But I would suggest Reki Kawahara does not have much dignity anyway.
So, let's talk dot hack. Going back. Let's talk dot hack. So, show of hands, kiddies. Who knows what dot hack is? I saw that Aragon raised his hand.
So, yeah, you better know what dot hack is.
Oh, good lord.
Okay, so there's an anime series known as Dot Hack Sign. It's pretty much, one of the best ones out there. You need to...
I would actually argue against Sign being a good anime.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
This is blasphemy.
I'm the dot hack fanboy, and I would actually say that Sign is pretty awful as an entry point.
It's a piece that can easily be watched on its own. You don't have to have
So,
the whole series under your belt.
dot hack is a really tough piece of media to digest, mostly because its primary source material isn't even really available anymore.
What would that be?
The IMOC quadrilogy. The original dot hack game, before DLC, kiddies, games were literally split into multiple entries. I believe it was Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine were the 4 original games for dot hack. And they tell what I would consider to be the main story. Packaged with those games, each one was packaged with a single episode OVA, which was titled, as a series, it was titled Dot Hack Luminality, which is paralleling the story of the games.
Okay.
So, but the problem with, and again, I would agree with you because Signs takes place before the games and before Luminality, but it's so dang slow and explains next to nothing. I would recommend people play the games first. I would do that, except the games were for the PlayStation 2 and have yet to have a remake.
Wait, which games?
The IMOC quadrilogy.
So this was before, like, Oh, wait, no. Those were... I'm thinking. Was only GU the one that was made?
GU was the one that was remade.
They didn't remake the other one. They only remade GU.
Yes.
Okay.
That one is available on Steam, by the way, which I would highly recommend.
Don't support Steam. Buy it somewhere else.
Dude, no, buy it on Steam.
No, do not buy it on Steam. Buy it
The
somewhere
PC version of the game is highly worth it. I highly recommend it.
else. What's so great about that?
I would buy it rather than buying it from the PlayStation Store.
Don't support
Don't
Steam
buy
or
it from the
PlayStation.
PSN.
Don't.
We're going to argue about that, so let's just move on.
Neither Steam nor PlayStation should be supported. Either one is bad. Just get us somewhere else.
Don't listen. He doesn't speak for me. All right. So, yeah, Dot Hack is basically the story of Sword Art Online, but done way better.
And without as much edge. It's dark still, but it's not edgy dark.
So, the story behind Dot Hack is that around the year 1998, I want to say, like right around in the 90s. And again, don't quote me because it's been a long time since I actually played IMOC. But essentially, the internet as a whole was taken down by a very powerful virus. So imagine a virus so powerful that it shut down Google. That's the level of catastrophe you're dealing with. And literally, the only thing that survived the data purge was a single operating system called the Ultimate, with an A, Ultimate OS. And so Ultimate OS became the basis of every other electronic device that was developed in the future. And because of this, information technology took like a really long intermission because no one could get access to the internet. Then all of a sudden, humanity was suddenly back on the internet, but online gaming was banned.
And why?
Specifically because the governments were under the control, they had complete and utter control of information. In other words, they didn't want people getting on.
Jeez.
They were using it as a method to shrink the world. So yeah, no more internet, kids. No more iPhones. No more Fortnite. No more nothing.
Ugh.
And then...
Sounds like a dreary world.
And then, out of nowhere, a company called CC Corp emerges with a new development, and they get approved by the government to launch an MMO, which is literally titled The World. So, The World, I can't really show quotes because my hands, but The World became, as you can imagine, a massive hit very, very, very quickly. Problem: the developer for The World had an alternative agenda that he didn't even tell CC Corp. And that was that he wanted to develop he wanted to develop an AI capable of comprehending human emotion. Specifically, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a poem that became the basis of the mythology for the MMO called the Epitaph of Twilight. And this poem basically was the basis for everything in The World. So this guy, Harold, essentially decided, well, the original author of the Epitaph of Twilight, he was in love with her. But she died. So he wanted a daughter. So he did what any crazy mad scientist would do in such a situation. If I can't make a daughter normally, I'll literally make one. So he took the information from The World and created a growing intelligence AI that was capable of learning from interaction with players to develop its own personality. The problem is that there were side effects to interacting with this AI. And the more and more intelligent the AI became, the more severe the consequences of interacting with it became. So eventually, this AI formed into what was essentially Harold's daughter, which was a young girl named Aura.
Who is central to the original PlayStation games, I do believe.
Yes, Aura is like the princess, essentially. She's the one that you need to rescue. The one that you need to free and do all the heroic deeds to free, because Harold never intended the AI to be evil, malicious. But has anyone ever been on 4chan? Because that is the well of knowledge that these AI were drawing from.
Yeah, okay.
Humans on the internet. Imagine an AI learning from something like Twitter or Bboard.
Yeah, that's gonna cause problems.
Oh, Bboard? Oh, Aragon doesn't know what Bboard is.
So B is one of the worst boards on 4chan. Basically, it's home to all manner of incredibly degenerate behavior.
We're not going to talk about that in order to keep this video PG.
Yeah, you basically just don't want to go there. It's just like it's not good.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Microsoft launched an AI that did that exact thing.
Yeah, it got turned into like a Nazi or something.
Now, but imagine one that was literally capable of forming human-like intelligence. And not only that, it became so intelligent that it began to manifest a subconscious.
Well, that's where you get into the Terminator.
So, yeah, kind of, except imagine Skynet was even scarier, but never created like physical Terminators. So the whole idea behind it was that Aura was a benevolent AI. She was only drawing from all of the positive things that she was finding throughout the network. And the world, because it was a bunch of people interacting with each other in a virtual reality environment, was the perfect location for her to draw that information from. Yeah, we kind of were. But,
Yes, it causes quite some problems.
so we kind of were dead at that point, but then something even worse happened. And it was the development of what were called the 8 waves. So each one of these were super powerful AI beings that embodied each of the 8 portions of the poem, the Epitaph of Twilight. So these would be what you would consider to be the quote-unquote raid bosses of .hack. And there was only one, again, each of these had its own personality, its own motivation, but they were all united in a single purpose. And that purpose was to keep Aura from manifesting completely. So to stop the process from being completed. And in order to do that, the original plan was to infect enemies in the .hack, the world MMO, and have them attack players. And when the players would be KO'd in the world, the AI would actually use that moment where the program would leave a kind of a window in executing the death animations, that it would literally use that file to enter into it would insert a virus. And the virus would actually create an electrical surge in the headgear used to enter into the world. Came back in here, now on to some edgy content. Well, now you're here, but we're talking about something not so edgy. We'll be moving on to that next. But so each of the 8 waves had its own personality, its own special abilities, but the franchise essentially revolves around Aura and her impact on the world. So she actually helps players by giving them a means to fight these hacked-in enemies. So in the original IMOC quadrilogy, she gives Kite, who is the main character, a special bracelet that allows him to data drain enemies, which allows him to remove the shield, remove the virus, and eliminate them as a threat. So that's the basic summary of the .hack quadrilogy.
Reminds me a little bit of rockman.exe/Megaman Battle Network.
Oh, good lord. I mean...
Coolest antivirus ever.
I would argue the coolest antivirus ever would be Haseo from .hack GU. But that's just me. Because Scaife. So yeah, moving on for more edgy content. Oh lord, so let's talk about the stuff you and I disagree about. For instance, Holden doesn't particularly think the Fate series is that good.
Yeah, not from what I know of it. It's definitely edgy.
I think you might anger people by telling them that.
Yeah, good. Y'all need to hear the truth. Y'all gotta hear.
I think Viatis might be with me on this one. Fate is a good series.
Fate is... He's talking about Dark. Fate is like, whatever. It's like, oh yeah, look, lots of violence. Okay.
Oh, you never tried the Fate series. Aragon is definitely on my side, I can tell.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, well, you...
Hey, Aragon. Aragon, come on. You know, don't you? Saber is best girl.
Oh boy, no.
Oh, boy.
Kudo is best girl.
No, don't worry. We just kind of wrapped up .hack, be honest. We're going to talk about the Fate series and why Holden doesn't particularly like it. All right, you got some splaining to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, okay, let's have a bunch of violence and kill a bunch of people and in the original version of the game, insert things. It's
You do understand you're literally describing basically every violent anime ever when you say that, right?
Okay, so starting from the next episode forward, we need to start a literally counter, and
Oh, well, that'll be fun. I'll totally support that.
we're gonna need to try to get that counter to come down a bit.
I'm gonna need you to explain what you don't like about the Fate series, because I don't understand that hatred. There's worse things that I've seen you watch.
It's just not my thing. I don't like all the excessive violence and all
You
that.
watched the Golden Age, and you're calling Fate excessively violent.
Yeah, because Berserk is pretty high art, whereas Fate just isn't. It's more like a shonen with the violence ticked up.
I'm gonna enjoy using the audio from this to post pictures of the Berserk anime behind you saying this, right next to some footage of the Fate series.
Look, just because Berserk has intense content doesn't... Basically, Fate doesn't earn the right to use such intense content.
Well, why do you say that?
It just feels gratuitous in Fate, whereas it makes sense in Berserk.
I think that depends. Like, are you talking about Berserk's pedigree and the fact that it's been around since the 80s? Or are you talking about the fact that you just don't like the kind of violence that Fate engages in? Because I can tell you that Berserk is that kind of violence and worse.
Yes, but it's for a purpose, whereas with Fate, it feels rather gratuitous at many parts.
Oh, Lord. I don't even know what to say to that. You're going to say that Berserk is not as bad as the Fate series.
No, I'm not saying the content isn't as bad. I'm saying that the Fate series doesn't justify its use, whereas Berserk does.
I'm just going to say one word, and for those of you that know Berserk, you're going to know what I'm talking about. And I want to keep this PG, so I'm just going to say this. Horse. Horse.
All right, then, moving on.
You know what I'm talking about. You even know what I'm talking about.
So then, I believe it's getting close to time to wrap this up.
No, you're not getting away that easily. Can't let you do that, Star Fox.
Before we have ourselves a age-restricted video here.
Oh, we're not gonna go that far. So I gotta ask you, what's your business with Black Lagoon? Come on.
It's trash. It goes out of its way to be gritty and violent, and
Mean-spirited?
yeah,
That's the purpose of it.
it's dumb. It's so dumb. It's just like, how can we shock the audience in this episode?
Our tagline is, just because it offends you, it doesn't make it edgy.
It is edgy, though. It actually is.
I would argue that Black Lagoon is a bit of both.
What real narrative is there to Black Lagoon? It's just...
People gotta live. Gotta put food on the table.
These guys have enough money they could retire for the rest of their lives easily. They're just doing it because they're a-holes. I mean, the main
If
character...
they like what they do.
The main character is just fed up with being kicked around in the business world, so he decides to come do terrible things with a bunch of terrible people.
Do you not remember the fact that Rock literally gets kidnapped?
He gets
And
kidnapped.
sold out.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's
He
edgy.
didn't choose that.
It's... past the point of believability there. It's just no. And I bore with it for a bit, but eventually it just crossed some lines. It was just like, no,
So,
stop this.
just to rile up the crowd a bit, we still got that whole Konosuba thing going. So, we got one in for Whis and one in for Megumin.
There aren't enough people here right now.
I
to have
refuse
a
to be the
full-blown-
tiebreaker here.
to have
Someone's
a
got to
full-blown
step
contest on this one, but you
in.
know,
We'll see.
I'm right.
We're
so.
going to get there at some point where we have enough people to have a contest.
We'll see. Maybe.
Oh, Lord. So, I don't know. I personally don't think that Fate is that much of an edgy show. I think they're pretty well written. Their lore is well established. The reasoning behind what they do has been done in the past, and to good effect. I mean, if you read Arthurian legend, they literally have the same kind of laws with regards to magic, which is appropriate considering that the most well-known characters from the Fate series regard Arthurian legend. So the only conclusion that I can come to is that it's something that is just too nasty for your taste.
Okay. A good way to sum this up is, why should I care? Why do I care about this?
Because that's the topic of the video. That's why. I
Just-
have you cornered now. There's no running away.
Fate does not give me a reason to give a crap about it. It's just
And Berserk does?
yes and no. Berserk is a case where I probably won't end up reading it because it's just so extreme in content. Similar to how it's like this. It's like Game of Thrones. It's like, yeah, good story, very entertaining, but I can't really fully engage with it because it's
It's too much for you.
too much. Yeah, it's
Well,
too
then
much.
I would go with that rather than just calling something edgy.
Well, that's the thing. When it has enough artistic value and justifies use of excess content like that, yeah, Game of Thrones and Berserk I would not call edgy
I would
because
argue that
they
Fate
use
Zero is one of the most beautifully animated pieces of its time.
Fate Zero. All right, hold on a minute. I'm gonna do a little experiment here. Let's see.
He's going to pull out a timeline to see what was coming out at the time.
Oh boy, let's take a look over here and just.
I would definitely argue that Ufotable's Fate Zero is probably one of the most beautifully animated pieces of animation that I've ever seen.
Oh, I see. There's a new My Anime list since My Anime list got cucked. Now they have Annie list.
Hey, language.
That's not bad language.
Language.
not
Come
even-
on, guys.
That wouldn't even be bleeped out.
I'm pulling a Captain America here. Language.
Regardless, it's interesting to see. Let me. Oh,
Oh, yeah, we're talking about Berserk, be honest.
Nakata. All right, let's see.
Oh, good lord, you poor man. You poor guy. I'm so sorry. You really should read the manga instead of watching the 2016 anime.
Why would you watch the 2016?
The 2016 anime is an atrocity and an affront to mankind. And I speak as someone who tried to defend it.
Oh, boy.
Oh, you did read the manga? Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, no, I love the Berserk manga. I love it so much. Like, no, the Mosgus arc is really interesting, but you've got a lot crazier and even better stuff coming up. Oh my gosh, wait until but I'm warning you, wait until the boat. You'll know what I mean when you get there, but wait until you get to the boat.
Oh, golly.
Don't say anything for spoiling.
Oh, the boat. Even I know about the boat. Oh, he stopped at the boat. That makes a lot of sense.
The Lost Children arc is probably my favorite piece of manga ever made. It's probably the one thing that I could never get Holden to read.
I'm betting that's probably going to be true. Yep. I don't think that. Just knowing the context of Berserk, that just doesn't sound.
Oh, you stopped at the boat.
Yeah, he stopped at the boat.
Oh my gosh, dude. I know it's gonna be tough, but you gotta get through the boat.
He thinks.
Gotta get through the boat.
He thinks I'd hate it. Okay, I think you're probably right.
He'd loathe it. That is truth right there. Oh Lord, hold it. I mean, if you can't stand, this baffles me. So get this, Viatis. We're dealing with a guy who says he can handle Berserk, but he can't handle the Fate series.
I've gone through only part of Berserk, and I don't necessarily feel a great urge to continue it.
I think what happened was I showed him the opening episode of Fate, and he saw what was done to Sakura. And now he can't get over it.
Age restricted stream.
Oh, good Lord. Great balls of fire.
If you can tell me that's not edgy, then I don't know what to say to
Sorry,
you.
but it's not.
I don't know what to say to you, man.
Well, I think the meme that we put up speaks for itself.
Well, there you go.
I mean, Lord have mercy. Oh, yeah, no. He hasn't seen the worst of Berserk by far. Yeah, he only watched the anime. Only the anime adaptations.
So if it gets even worse from there, yeah, I probably don't care to continue.
He's only seen the 2016 anime. Maybe did you see the 2017? I don't even think you've bothered with the 2017.
I have not bothered with more than like an episode of the CG monstrosity.
So yeah, no, he hasn't seen anything outside of the Golden Age, essentially.
Yeah, they did some pretty quality films there, I'll say. But yeah, I don't know if I...
You need to look at that comment, because he's absolutely right about that.
Okay, it's PG-13 compared to the manga. I'm not even exaggerating. Well then, okay.
Oh, I wouldn't even go that far. I would say it's like comparing kindergarten to college.
Dang.
You have seen literally nothing until you've gotten out of the Golden Age.
What is that? The 70th literally there? Okay, so that's not literal, that's figurative.
So what you're dealing with is, again, Berserk. Berserk is, by all intents and purposes, designed to be gory as a spectacle. But its narrative is very serious, and it earns taking itself seriously. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Okay, so why is it that you think that Fate hasn't earned the right to take itself seriously?
Okay, Type Moon has a tendency to write characters that are just supreme edgelords. They just...
Come on,
They're just evil for the heck of it.
We are an empiric
really.
society here. You gotta give examples.
I don't remember their names, man. I don't watch this stuff.
I'll probably recognize them just by you describing them.
I mean, there's that whole scene where, a character X and a character Y get murdered horribly by like 1,000 cut kind of thing. That's edgy. That's real edgy.
Which one?
Well, see, I don't necessarily want to spoil... Wait, that happens more than once? Oh, boy. Yeah, well, there you go.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I feel so sorry for you.
Well, I feel sorry for me too. So.
Oh, man.
All right.
Gore narrative. Any of you... Oh, no, I've never read the original Devilman. No. I did watch the original and the OVA, but I never read the original manga.
All right. So, here's the thing. We're at a bit of a long timer now. Let's try to wind it down, and let me tell you all, before we do our little wrap-up, whatever it may be, we'll probably be back week after next, around the same time, around the same day, And we'll probably do some games afterwards that time so that there's a little more extra bonus content to dig in. I've got this new capture card. I'm going to try it out between now and then, see if it works well with my gear. Hopefully it does. Otherwise, I wasted a lot of money.
Like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Yeah, do that. Subscribe to Master Holden as well, where we may play more of that Fire Emblem game eventually.
If I can ever drag Holden out of his cave.
That's got quite a lot of potential, I would say.
We need to get back to Ross the Boss.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Lord have
That was
mercy.
so good. Oh, okay. Check out links in the description, and
Like, share, and subscribe.
yeah, that pretty much covers it
We're
there.
trying to get as much of a subscription base as we can.
And I guess in the interim week, I'll also try to have up by next Tuesday an edited version of this if anyone wants to watch it back with a little bit of the pauses and technical issues ironed out of it. Which is, a little more digestible. Or you could just rewatch this. Either way, give us watch time. So
We're pretty new at this, so we're going to do the best we can to keep consistent time frame. And
I'm starting to use my Twitter more frequently, so check out @MasterHolden on Twitter, and you may enjoy it. Trying to get that ball rolling because it's.
Yep.
I think some of my posts are pretty high quality, so you might want to look.
The GK Guild is going to be the Hunter primary channel, which is we're going to be holding the majority of our streaming content of this variety. I'd like to try to get a lot more gaming content on this channel as well, but this is probably going to be right where we started. So if you're here at the beginning, welcome. We're going to remember you guys, and we're going to love every piece of support you guys can give us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and I guess unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about the main discussion, I guess we're about done.
We can open a Q&A probably.
Okay, I'm giving you all 30 seconds if you have anything you want to ask us before we go.
He's not kidding. 30 seconds is 30 seconds when it comes to this guy.
Yep. All right, here we go.
Oh, Lordy. I'm probably going to be a lot more open to a Q&A than you are, but
And of course, you can post a comment
be
on
honest,
this video later.
will I date you? I don't know. I'm single. I'm available.
Sheesh.
I don't know about Holden, but
I think we'd kill each other knowing you. So I'm going to pass on that.
well, I think that depends, Viatis. Who are you asking? Me or Holden? Oh, Lord. Lord have mercy.
All right. So
We can give you a couple seconds for that one. Oh, Lord.
both, I want a poly relationship. It's 2019. Ha. Current year TM. All right.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, no thanks.
Oh, boy. Get me out of 2019, I'll tell you.
Well, dang. Yeah, no, I'm too much man for one woman. Sorry. Oh, Lord have mercy. I am a one-woman man. Sorry.
All right. I guess that'll about wrap it up. Good night, everybody.
If you got any friends, let them know. Oh, Lord.
Thanks for coming.